That's the kind of fourth quarter you want to see from the Chicago Bulls, especially against a team that is in absolute disarray right now. And for the Bulls, who have really struggled in the fourth quarter this season, especially in closing out games in crunch time, leading up to tonight, the Bulls were shooting 33% from the field and 29% from three in the fourth quarter. On top of that, they have committed 33 turnovers to 24 assists in the fourth quarter this season. Talk about a putrid turnover to assist ratio. But tonight, huge fourth quarter, they outscored the Nets 31-19 on the back of a monster fourth by Zach Lavine, who he himself outscored the Nets in the fourth quarter alone with 20 points. That is the kind of game we need to see from Zach Lavine. We were all being critical of his shot selection and play down the stretch in the last game against the Sixers. Tonight, he was on fire and could not be stopped. What a performance by Zach Lavine. And you know what makes this even sweeter? To add to tonight's win, Kyrie Irving played like absolute trash, was scoreless until the fourth quarter, finished the game with just 4 points on 2 for 12 shooting. F that guy, he can take this L. What I will say before I get into the game further is it was pretty annoying how the TNT broadcast spent a good portion of the game just talking about all the drama surrounding the Brooklyn Nets, whether it be Kyrie and his antics, Ben Simmons not playing, Steve Nash getting fired, presumably them hiring Ime Udoka, even though that hasn't been confirmed yet. Like, can we just broadcast the game, please? We know this team is a disaster already. Which, by the way, I'll have a video on the Nets tomorrow in my NBA channel. Be on the lookout for that. It's why I can't stand national broadcasted games and would much prefer just listening to Stacey and Adam. Not biased at all, of course, especially when I've had both of them on the channel. But anyway, let's talk about this game. It wasn't the prettiest of games. In fact, the game was pretty sloppy for the Bulls leading up to that fourth quarter. The Bulls hung around at least. They didn't fall into a big deficit at the beginning of the game like we've seen them do this season. They did fall behind as many as 11, I believe it was, in the third quarter. There was just a lot of poorly executed possessions, guys turning the ball over, not a ton of ball movement, and their defense was pretty subpar, especially on the perimeter, which continues to be a problem for the Bulls as they remain last in the league in allowed three-pointers, or at least from a percentage standpoint. And the reason that was particularly troubling in this game is because going into tonight, the Nets were the worst three-point shooting team in the league, and they themselves are also one of the worst teams in the league in terms of giving up threes to their opponent. And the Bulls were really struggling to really hit their shots in the early going. Like, how are we going to let Royce O'Neal and Watanabe have career nights from behind the arc? But anyway, let's stop being negative. Let's talk about the things that went right from this game. And you have to start with Zach Lavine. Thank God he played tonight, because he was, of course, listed as questionable. As we know, Zach is unlikely to play in back-to-back games, which probably means we won't see him in tomorrow's game against the Hornets. But having him in this one was key, because when you have Kevin Durant going off and dominating for the Nets, seemed like the guy just could not miss a shot. And when DeRozan was having somewhat of an off night for him anyway, I mean, 20 points on 8 for 21 shooting isn't terrible by normal player standards, but not the efficient DeRozan that we're used to seeing, especially when he wasn't getting to the line that frequently. That's when you need a guy like Zach Lavine to take over, and taking over he did. Didn't have the best first half, but closes out the game with a hot hand, especially from deep, finishes the game with 29 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 10 for 21 shooting, 5 for 11 from 3, and only 1 turnover. Lavine was the difference maker in this one, and it's what we need to continue to see from our star player. Now, as great as Zach was, and he really was the player of this game, I don't think you can understate the importance of Dosunmu in this one. Another guy who we weren't sure if he was going to be playing. Not only was he incredible at locking up Kyrie Irving that caused him to have such a poor game, although yes, some possessions and shots Kyrie was just point blank missing, but not only did he shut down a guy that is averaging over 30 points per game and limited him to just 4 points tonight, Iowa was getting it done on offense with how aggressive he was in getting to the hoop, driving to the basket, making cuts, making plays for others as well. I tell you, with every passing game, this kid just gets more and more confident and has been such a big piece in stepping up for the Bulls, while Lonzo, obviously is out. Tonight, 17 points on 7 for 11 shooting, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals, and was a plus 12 on the night, which was a team high. Another thank God he was playing tonight moment. And then how about Patrick Williams? Not saying he had an incredible game, but over the last few games, Patrick has been making strides, playing with more confidence, more aggression. He's actually playing on the ball and creating his own shot. Dude even had a couple fadeaway jumpers, was not expecting that. We need to see more and more of this from Patrick. His performance this season is going to be so critical for the Bulls and their overall success. Tonight, 12 points, which I believe is a season high, 7 rebounds, also a season high, 1 steal and 2 blocks, 5 for 10 shooting, and because of his play, Billy actually trusted in keeping him in the game. No more starting and playing only 15 minutes for the game because he's been a net negative impact on the court. Vucevic, not the best game for him tonight, although he was crashing the boards. I just expected a bigger night from Vuce, considering the Nets don't really have a strong big man, no true center. I said it in my weekly preview video, I would have thought the Bulls would go more inside to Vuce, and when they did, he just struggled to put the ball in the hoop, finished the game with only 7 points, but Vuce also needs to be putting up more than just 8 attempts when there is a mismatch down low. Hopefully we see him a little more active in tomorrow's game against the Hornets, who are also not strong at the 5 spot. The rotation was pretty thin tonight when you didn't have a guy like Coby White or Andre Drummond available in this one, but the big guy coming off the bench for the Bulls was Goran Dragic, who seemed to be looking for revenge on his former team. 15 points, was lighting them up from downtown in the first half. Big part of the reason the Bulls stayed in the game in the first half. Love to see your veteran come up big off of the bench as that scoring spark when Coby White is out. All around though, it's a big W for the Bulls. Ball movement could have been better, only 20 assists as a team, but limiting themselves to 9 turnovers while forcing 17 turnovers to the Nets is key. And with the crazy hot shooting from Zach down the stretch, the Bulls actually finished the game shooting 40% from 3. Not too often that you see that. Bulls improved to 4-4 on the season, need another win tomorrow night against another team that is a little banged up themselves with no Terry Rozier, Cody Martin, and of course LaMelo Ball. Always tough on the second half of a traveling back-to-back, but no excuses. Take care of business, get the win before you head back out to Boston on Friday. I'll have a live chat for the game, of course, and so feel free to join that if you would like. And as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.